Hello everyone, I'm Santiago and today I'm gonna be talking about 10 games I would purchase in the Steam Winter Sale 2018. There are a huge amount of games out there that are also good, I just cannot list all of them here. There are honorable mentions down in the description. If you already own something, I recommend here. And if you want to support the channel by buying games for yourself, check the Chrono GG and Humble affiliate links down in the description as well. So first, Yakuza 0, 33% off, knocking it down to $13.39 US. This was released on PC very recently, it runs pretty well. I played the entire game twice and I have to say that the story is very enjoyable, especially if you like doing a lot of funny and ridiculous side quests. But then the main story, the game manages to get much more serious, so it has both of those tones on it that in some way work out together. Then combat isn't perfect, but there's a good amount of things to upgrade to improve it along the way, with new techniques being unlocked as you progress. The game is voiced in Japanese, so you'll need subtitles to know what's going on, so keep that in mind. Still many hours of fun here, and it's a great entry point for the Yakuza series if you've never played any of the games. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, 70% off, knocking it down to $8.99 US. I really feel this game is underrated. I haven't finished it yet, but so far with the time I spent on it, I really like the combat when fighting big enemies. When you climb onto them, it reminded me of Shadow of the Colossus, but in smaller scale. Also the running around with less focus on fast travel made me want to spend less time playing it. I still go back to it every now and then. This came to PC much later than console, so I kinda get why it didn't get that much attention. It runs pretty well on PC, but I recommend disabling the Steam overlay. For some reason that improved the performance for me. Killing Floor 2, 67% off, knocking it down to $9.89 US. This is a game that I really enjoy from time to time. I can see many people finding it very repetitive. What I mostly play is Horde mode, trying to survive waves of more and more zombies each time, improving my loadout for the next wave. You can play on your own or with other people. There's a good amount of difficulty options and classes, so you always have a challenge and upgrading going on. I played a lot of hours of it, but nowadays I play a match or two, just small bursts, made it last longer installed on my PC. It also runs well, so you can get pretty decent visuals with a smooth frame rate. You can get this game along with Dying Light Enhanced Edition in a bundle for slightly less than buying them separately, so consider that if you want to buy both games. Dying Light Enhanced Edition, 67% off, knocking it down to $19.79 US. This includes the base game plus Season Pass plus the following. You can also get this edition of the game with Killing Floor 2 in a bundle for slightly less money than buying them separately. I repeat that once again if you just skip the previous one. There's a lot of content here. You have the campaign of the base game that can be played co-op or alone, that will last a good amount of time. Also the following, which is the extra story content in a different map with what you unlocked in the base campaign carried over to it. This is first person parkour in areas infested with zombies. There are firearms, but you're usually using hand-to-hand weapons that degrade with use and can be upgraded. We also have multiplayer available, but focused on being a monster in another player's game. You can disable this if you want. Considering all the content it offers, this is a great deal if you enjoy zombie games. BorderLands 2 Game of the Year Edition, 78% off, knocking it down to $8.79 US. This includes the base game and all the DLC. This is a very fun game that can be played co-op as well. There's a great sense of humor across the entire campaign, an insane variation of weapons. You may find one that is more accurate the more you shoot. Others have ridiculous reloads, like throwing the weapon away as a grenade. It has a big focus on looting, so you'll pick a lot of stuff up, open a ton of things, constantly swapping things from the inventory to get the highest damage or effects that you want in the guns. There are also different classes to choose from that are better with certain weapons and skills, so there's a good amount of variation and content here if you like shooting and looting. I personally didn't play the DLC, but a lot of people told me that it's great and adds a good amount of extra content, so that's why I recommend this edition. Prey, 50% off, knocking it down to $14.99 US. This is the main game. If you want the DLC included as well, it will be $5 more expensive. This was released last year and it was one of my favorite games. It reminded me a lot of the times I played Deus Ex, with the different ways that you have to go through areas. For dealing with enemies, this will matter too. You can get turrets to help you out if you have the skill, as an example. I usually just use a shotgun and that worked out. You also get a gun that shoots glue that can help you get to very tall places or temporarily slow down enemies and avoid some hazards in the space station. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time playing this game and I highly recommend it. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, 75% off, knocking it down to $12.49 US. This is a game that I wasn't expecting to enjoy. I like Dragon Ball, don't get me wrong, but I just expected a more online focused game once I got into the hub area. While there's certainly a lot of that here, the story was pretty fun to play through. You're a time traveler and you have to solve parts of the Dragon Ball story that were altered by the villain. It was cool to play those stories again, but sometimes there are some difficulty spikes in it. Be ready for that. You also need to level up your character so it's more capable of keeping up with the difficulty, which also leads you to learn more techniques seen in the series. If you like third-person fighting games and Dragon Ball, this is a great game to play. I finished the entire thing twice, making different characters, which made me spend like 30 hours in the game, but I didn't do all the side content, so there's even more than an experience to still be played here. Far Cry 3, 60% off, knocking it down to $7.99 US. This is the Far Cry game that, at least for me, started the Far Cry games that we play nowadays. I found Far Cry 4 and 5 to have a ton of similarities to this one. I enjoy 3 a lot even today. The visuals still hold up. You have a decently sized map with a lot of things to do, but here hunting is more encouraged in comparison to Far Cry 5. You need to do it to get more holsters for your weapons, for being able to carry more ammo and medicine. There's even an upgrade to be able to carry more money. A lot of you probably won't like that it has the Ubisoft towers in it, which will allow you to see the map and points of interest. But outside of that, I enjoyed the story, the gunplay, and taking all the outposts once I finished the campaign. There's multiplayer, but as far as I know it's dead. And a warning, even if you buy it on Steam, you'll need to access Uplay to play the game. So you'll launch it on Steam, then Uplay will open, and then the game will launch. And you can also find Far Cry 4 on sale, which I found more similar to this than Far Cry 5. Warhammer Vermintide 2, 60% off, knocking it down to $11.99 US. I talked about this game in my previous Steam sale video, but this time around it's discounted even further, so I mention it again. A very good looking game to be played with other people, but you can also play it alone with bots, like on the Left 4 Dead games. And now that I mentioned that other game, it has some clear inspirations from it, but I found the combat here to be much more satisfying, especially on hand to hand. There's good feedback coming from hitting enemies, but it's more encouraged to go hand to hand compared to using weapons. You have very little ammo, unless you're using a bow. But yeah, expect a lot of enemies on screen in certain key moments while you wait for a door to open or something to complete, with some random boss encounters along the way. I found the game to be pretty tough, but after a couple hours I adjusted. And finally, Broforce, 75% off, knocking it down to $3.74 US, the cheapest game in this list. This is a 2D game with very destructible environments and great sense of humor. Please read the Steam reviews for it, they are hilarious. You have to advance freeing prisoners using many of the different bros available that have completely different skills and fighting styles between them. You can play co-op if you want, even on the same computer, which is something I really miss from the past. And the game gets tougher as you go through it. Some of the later levels were very difficult to complete, but again, a lot of crazy fun here, especially with local co-op. Anyway guys, that's about it. Let me know what you got or will get in this winter sale down in the comments, so we get more game recommendations going. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.